Well, that's one preseason game in the books as the Jets soundly trounce Green Bay, but it's not whether you win or lose. It's how you win or lose in those games, and hopefully nobody gets hurt. Well, we're going to talk about that game. And why are we going to talk about a preseason game that already happened? Because your boy was there, and I was proud to be there. My first trip to Green Bay, Wisconsin. I got photos that I want to show you. I want to tell you some stories, just to tell you a little bit about it. And we're going to talk about these joint practices the Jets have had with the Giants. And also, I've got a revised 53-man roster. Now that we're a couple of weeks into training camp, I've made some changes, and this roster is looking a whole lot different than how we thought it might look just a couple of weeks ago. But guys, you know what the deal is. It's Wednesday night, it's 6 p.m., and we are live. Well, welcome back to New York Sports WickerMedia. I am your party host, Wa2K99, here for our weekly Wednesday night extravaganza. I'm glad that you are here joining me tonight. It's going to be, I'm just feeling good tonight. I am feeling ready. I am feeling pumped up, probably because as I look out my window here from the studio apartment in Raleigh, North Carolina, it's the first time I've seen a full sunshine in about 4 days. Okay, it has been non-stop rain. I've seen nothing but rain since Sunday, and the sun is shining just a little bit brighter. The sky's just a little bit bluer. Life's good right now. Life's good. And you know what? It's a state of mind. Even through the worst, we can still choose a little bit of joy. Okay, enough of the Tony Robbins talk. Let's freaking get down to business, okay? All right, so quick hello to everybody in the chat. Feel free to say hello, drop a comment, drop a question anytime during the show. It's a whole lot more fun when we get to go back and forth. I see the great Harlan Abraham is here. Father Abraham and his many sons, the many sons of Father Abraham. I am one of them, and so are you. Longtime Jets fan and about one of the most loyal fans we have here at New York Sports WickerMedia. Harlan, thank you for setting time aside. I absolutely appreciate you, man. All right, so we're going to get into the football in a moment. I'm going to do kind of a shorter 3 and out than what I would normally do because, let's be honest, it's kind of a dead time in sports right now. So let's talk about what's on my mind with the 3 and out. As StreamYard just loves to move these buttons around on me and just mess with it. I'll tell you what. I was in Milwaukee on Friday for the Mets-Brewers game. I knew I should have gotten my money back. I knew I should have just got my money back and went out to get a steak, something in Wisconsin that would not cause me the agony it does to watch the Mets play baseball. They had lost 11 games out of 12 after Sunday, after they get swept by the Brewers. Cool. Last night they beat the Braves 13-5. Pete Alonso sets the Mets all-time home run record. Bravo. It's a nice accomplishment, but you know what? The Mets, for 254 now to be the high that the Mets have had in their 60-plus history, it's not exactly thrilling, okay? Francisco Alvarez hits 2 home runs, but again, how many times do I need to say this about the pitching? I've yelled about this. I've screamed about this. I've practically cried on air about this. Clay Holmes can't get out of the 4th inning! 4 innings! I don't want to hear about the inning limits. He gets the rest now. He doesn't get in the bullpen. I don't want to hear about innings limits. It's not like he's pitching every day like he used to when he was in the bullpen for the Yankees. Oh, my gosh. And I need a lot more than 1 win to believe in this team again. They're 5 games out of the division right now, only 2 up on the wild card ahead of Cincinnati, 4 up on St. Louis. Now, tonight, as the Mets take on the Braves, it's David Peterson, the only pitcher on this franchise who ever pitches 6 innings or more, against ex-Met Carlos Cookie Carrasco. Yes, that Cookie Carrasco. There is no excuse for this lineup to not thump him. He's 38 years old. He's got an ERA around 6. And I'll tell you this, next Saturday, Nolan McLean is coming. Nolan McLean, one of the Mets' biggest pitching prospects, formerly known as Cowboy Ohtani, because he used to pitch and hit, But now he is a pitcher. He's got a great fastball, a wipe-out slider, a couple of other pitches, but I am very much looking forward to watching him pitch. His last 7 starts in AAA, a 33% strikeout rate. That's right. He's striking out 1 of every 3 batters he faces. And the OPS against him, 565. Very good number for a pitcher. So with what's coming up, the Mets are facing 2 horrible Atlanta pitchers, and Carlos Carrasco and Bryce Elder, whose ERA combined, I think, is right around 12. This offense needs to get going now. There's 6 weeks left in the season. It's time for the offense to pick up a lackluster starting rotation. It started last night. It better have started, and it better continue tonight in Flushing, Queens. As far as the Yankees go, well, I told you that Houston series was big. They dropped 2 out of 3 at home. Now they win 2 straight over Minnesota. And I got to see people asking, are the Yankees back? They beat Minnesota 2 straight. The Yankees can beat Minnesota if they put out the Tampa Yankees, if they put out their Class A team. Come on. It's Minnesota. That's like the Patriots were on a losing streak. They played the Jets, they won, and everybody assuming the Patriots was back because the Patriots were our daddies for 25 years. Stop. So if you're looking forward to watching that game, well, I hope you have Prime Video, because if you want to see Yankees Twins once again on a Wednesday, you need Prime Video. Cough up the dollar signs. Get your credit card or debit card out. My goodness. And outside of that, not a whole heck of a lot going on in sports outside of football. What are we hearing about? I look at ESPN, and the head thing is NHL players excited over Taylor Swift's upcoming album. Really? I'm getting excited about Taylor Swift's album. Here's my thought. Anybody offended out there? I didn't think so. But it's that Jerry Jones used to have cancer 15 years ago. It's that the Portland Trail Blazers are now owned by the Carolina Hurricanes owner, so they'll be staying in Portland. There's nothing going on. There's just not much going on right now. A couple quick other hellos. The great Hank G. Hi to you as well. Glad you made it. And look at Sharon McClain. Usually pops up during trivia time, but Sharon is here early. I love it, and participating early. Cousin Nolan is coming. There you go. I like it. By the way, if you look at Nolan McClain, if you see a picture of this guy, doesn't he look just like R.A. Dickey? He looks like R.A. Dickey's twin brother, just like him. It is pretty funny to me. All right. So, guys, I'll tell you what. Let's get rid of the 3 and out, and we're going to get into some Jets content right now. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to pull up some let's pull this up right here. There we go. Jets news. There we go. So let's talk a little about Green Bay and everything that kind of went down. So what I'm going to do is I am going to share my screen. I'm just going to kind of take you through the journey of this by showing you a few pictures. So let's see. So present, share screen. First time I've tried doing this with Google Photos, so hopefully it works. Hopefully everything is on the screen as we need it to be. There we go. Okay, that's about as wide as I can make it. So, all right. So I got to tell you, driving into Green Bay, you could see the lightning bolts in the distance, and there was rain forecasted for most of the day. It was like early afternoon and early evening. So we didn't know if we were going to be sitting in the rain watching this game. So I picked up my friend Tommy and his wife Karen, and we started doing a little bit of after we had a beer or 2. I only had one. I only had one because I was driving. But we drove to City Stadium, which is at the East Side High School, home of the original Green Bay Packers, where they played until 1958. And it's funny, the last game there was also Bart Starr's first game. So pretty interesting note. And so then from there, this house, 667 Sunset Circle, is Vince Lombardi's house. And this is Green Bay for you. You know, low houses, ranch-style homes, no rich section, no poor section, very, very clean, super communal, incredibly friendly. I'm going to keep saying how friendly they were all for like the next half hour. So just be patient with me. But this was Vince Lombardi's house. Very, very little has changed. So that's where he lived, just about 2 houses down from the Fox River. And then we head, after the a rainstorm passes, we start heading down. I wound up getting a lift because the storm was so bad. trees were getting knocked down, and the free shuttle I was supposed to take from my motel was delayed. So I spent $10 to take a lift, and that was including tip. So then we go to the Stadium Club, hung out there. There's a couple of live bands. It wasn't quite what it would normally be because of the weather. But we did hang out there, had a brat, had a couple of beers. And this was what it started here and it kept going. Random people seeing our Jets gear. I got the Chad Pennington jersey on because, I'm always going to have a Chad Pennington jersey on. When I'm out representing the Jets, it's Pennington. Nick Mangold at other times, but in other markets, I'm rocking the Pennington. And people start coming up to me and they start asking me questions. Where are you from? Have you been to Lambeau Field before? They genuinely wanted to get to know us. And it was so neat. How many other cities does this happen to you again and again and again? People aren't doing that to you in friggin' Boston. They're not doing that in Chicago. They're not doing that in Los Angeles. Green Bay was like Wrigleyville. If you've been to Wrigley Field in Chicago, it was that kind of a community, but a more small town feel. So we kept walking down Armed Forces Road. There's a Brett Favre monument. They've got about 25 of these monuments around town. And so now we're walking east to west towards Lambeau Field down Armed Forces Drive. Yes, Harlan, please, everybody, please hit the like. Help support the channel, gets the word out so they can see these amazing photos that you won't find on the big boy channels. So we're passing Ray Nitschke Field in the middle, and the big building down there is the Don Hudson Training Center when they need to go indoors. And there's the Bart Starr statue, one of the greatest quarterbacks the Packers ever had, Hall of Famer. And Green Bay, welcome. There you go right there. So this is past the Hudson Center, as you can see on the left. And now we're at another practice field. And then you see the drum line. If you weren't looking closely enough, you could see from a distance, it almost looks like a Jet jersey had it not been for the gold. So outside of that's the Oneida Nation Gate. So Lambeau Field has about 10 entrances, and they've all got a different sponsor, whether it's Miller Lite, whether it's Oneida, all kinds of different things. Of course, when I see the Casamigos tequila booth, hey, I'm a Casamigos guy. Your boy loves his Casamigos Reposado, so that got my attention. But you see this drum line, it was like a college town, when you see that sort of a deal. Now we got a couple of other angles as well. There you go. And now we'll look back at the Hudson Center and the Armed Forces Monument. There are 5 pillars there, one for each branch of our armed forces. Well, actually 5 out of the 6. It doesn't have the space cadets, so 5 out of the 6. You got to count the space folks now too. So there it is, the Lambeau Field atrium. This is on the north side of the building where the statues are. Oh, and here they have a monument to do the Lambeau leap. Yeah, there it is. I'll take that back for 1 second. So Leroy Butler, the defensive back, was the first one to ever do a Lambeau leap, and it wasn't a big hop, but it was a bit of a hop. And there I am, showing off the Pennington jersey, which one guy thought was a Joe Namath jersey. I mean, come on. They thought I was wearing number 10, Joe Namath. Are you kidding me? I mean, get real. So, yep. And, oh, yeah, there's the extreme close-up. My legs look so short. Yeah, so for any of you out there who thought I'm just chest up, I actually do have a full body for those who had any questions about that. All right, now we get to a couple of statues. Curly Lambeau, the founder of the Packers, found them in 1919. A Green Bay native, was a star player at Notre Dame for 1 year, and also did play, and then was coach for eternity. Then eventually started going out to Hollywood and hanging out with the Starlights over there. He got a little bit big for Green Bay, but coached the Packers to many. I think six championships. I think it was 6. It was either 5 or 6. And then Vince Lombardi, probably the GOAT, probably the greatest coach that there ever was. 5 championships in 9 years, only 1 playoff loss. I mean, he was the man, absolutely the man. And I'm actually rereading a book right now about his first season coaching the Packers when he came over from the Giants. It's an amazing read on how he handled people, how he brought a team together, how he knew to give them love, how to give them discipline, all those kinds of things. And just looking at just this statue has presence, doesn't it? Just this statue. You just have to stare at it for a couple of minutes and, yeah. in my mind, maybe the best football coach there ever was. You could easily make the argument. It's a shame we lost him as young as we did. All right, so this is where we entered. It was the Fleet Farm Gate. I'd never heard of Fleet Farm, but that's where we went through. So I actually took about 250 photos. I'm just showing you a sampling of them. And if you haven't seen, I did post the video of my friend Tommy and I walking through the concourse, through the tunnel, and coming out with this very view that you're looking at right now of the Lambeau field, the entire field. So it was very, very cool. It's just a 30-second video. If you haven't seen that, definitely go ahead and check that out later. And so my seat was in the southeast corner, section 132, row 46, seat 10. And to think that just that lower bowl used to be all that existed, and then everything else that is there, they kept adding it on. So just a couple of other views for you. 13-time world champions. Have the Jets even won 13 playoff games? That's right. Yep. The first Super Bowl was 1967. That's right. 67 in the LA Coliseum. There are the Jets warming up. So they warmed up on the far end of the stadium. And here they are heading back into the center tunnel. And here we are during the national anthem, which was played on electric guitar. Look how that stadium fills in. Look at that sea. I mean, so nice. Super nice. And here's the opening kickoff as the thicker kicker prepares to kick off to Izzy Abanikanda, who is returning kicks for the Packers on Saturday night. And here's Jordan Love lined up under in the shotgun. Jets on defense. I'm not going to show you a ton of game photos, but I'll just show you a couple of things here. I had to get a picture of Kuntz. I had to get the Norfolk tight end connection at ODU. Stone Smart and Zach Kuntz, both ODU boys. So I had to do that. Yep. So just moved ahead 30-10. Of course, the Jets wound up winning the game. The fans took it pretty well. Some of them were upset. They weren't going too crazy. I will admit, I got nuts over Jay Tufele's first penalty when he went off sides on the first play of the game. I was screaming, but after that, I contained myself. After that, I was under control. And yeah, I think as Harlan mentioned, it didn't rain the entire game. I wore a raincoat or at least I had it with me. From 7 to 9, we were expecting a deluge, a complete downpour, and it never came. Maybe it sprinkled for 5 minutes at the most, but you could have asked for better weather. Like 70 degrees. It was absolutely fantastic. All right, and so after that, I had some barbecue wings. I had another 2 beers. Oh, as my notes want to go crazy on me here. All right, but then I found the shuttle to take me back to the motel. It saved me from having to walk 2 miles. So I was definitely thankful for that. All right. Well, looks like my notes just went haywire, so I'll work on getting those back while we do this. So this is in the Lambeau Field atrium. This is an oversized because we as Jet fans we don't really remember what this is. So this is the Vince Lombardi Trophy, and when you win the Super Bowl, you get one of these beautiful things. They have that right in the atrium. It's like I don't know how tall it is, but it goes up like 2 stories. It's pretty amazing. And there you get it right up close. Look at just that stairway kind of puts it in perspective. So. There's the nose of the football. There's the Lombardi Trophy engraving. Now, this is in the Packers Hall of Fame as I'm going from floor 1 to floor 2. So it's got different statistics, the number of shareholders, just different numbers. Again, 13 NFL titles. You see the evolution of the uniform, and you can see the difference from like the navy blue, where it said Acme Packers, that second one on the left, all the way to the current green and gold. And I'm just showing you these pictures to kind of give you a feel for just how they respect their history. Obviously, it's a much richer history than what the Jets have, but it shows you what it could be. This is a replica of Vince Lombardi's office. So there I am on an old school phone with like the little type thing. There's probably an ashtray in there as well. So it's a whole replica of the Lombardi office. You got that lamp in the background, a couple of books. So that's a nice old Photoshop. There I am. Of course, still wearing Jet stuff because I can't do it any other way. So this was sort of like hidden in the back corner. Pro Football Hall of Fame inductees. So you can see it's like there's these little phone booths where you pick it up and it tells you about the different player or the different coach or the different executive. And it's got like the old school NFL music, like the orchestra thing. Like if you remember the old John Facenda videos where it's like, it starts with a gun, it ends with a whistle. And those sorts of things, you get that very dramatic, orchestra going on. And it really is an amazing atmosphere to be in. Go a little bit further, the Packers Hall of Fame, the different inductees. There we go. I like this painting, Bart Starr, Brett Favre, and Aaron Rodgers. They actually posed for this painting together, and that is a painting. It's not a photograph. It's pretty nice. So that is the Ed Thorpe Trophy, which was sort of like the precursor to the Vince Lombardi Trophy, handed to the NFL champion. And this is the original Ed Thorpe Trophy from the 1920s. And it was lost for many, many decades until it was located, and now it is one of the most prized possessions in all of Lambeau Field. The 4 Lombardi trophies that they've won for Super Bowls. And then we did the stadium tour. So there were about 40, 50 people that did it. This is a view from the suite, from one of the upper corner suites that we had. And they have 3 different tours. And we did just the basic classic one for 60 minutes. That was all we really needed. Considering time and considering money, it was fine. And I'd also like to thank Meredith College, because thanks to them, since I'm at a college, I got a $6 discount. So, hey. So these are going to be a few other views from around the stadium. This is from the suite view, and you can see the various honored Packer personnel. Okay, so that's Leo. Leo's our tour guide, really cool dude. Now we are in the tunnel. We're in the bowels of Lambeau Field, and he's about to raise that medal. And I do need to mention, I wanted to do video. We were not allowed to do video on a non-game day. Otherwise, yes, I would have been doing video. Instead, I was limited to still photography. It's not a Packers policy. It's actually an NFL policy. No video on a non-game day. I have no idea why, but rules are rules, right? So now he's about to open up this metal gate. Now the gate is open, and you're beginning to head your way out. They've got music playing. They got some green lights going on. And there's the view from the tunnel right out to the field, where they come out in the, I believe that would be the northeast corner. Now the concrete, I want to take pictures of the concrete. Those are 3 blocks of concrete that have passed over from the original City Stadium. And they've inserted them, and it's sort of a tradition. You sort of click your heels on that concrete, knowing every other Packer player has stepped there as well. You think they got something like that in MetLife Stadium? Do you think this year Justin Fields is going to be clicking on the same spot Joe Namath was on 45 years ago? 50, longer than that? I'm sorry, 60 years ago? Probably not. All right, and there we go. Tommy, my friend, is in the white hat right there with his back to you. And now it's the same, all the World Championship years that they've had. Got those there. And there I am. So we were not allowed to step on the field. We were allowed a little padded area right behind the end zone. But you still get some good background shots. So, yeah, it's a place you really need to go if you haven't been there. Just to go one time, because there's no other place like it. There's side of the stadium. There we go. So Lombardi, Willie Davis, Ray Nitschke, Bart Starr, Jim Taylor, fullback, and Paul Hornung. Now this is the visitors' tunnel. This is in the middle of the field. So the Packers, they had that nice wide tunnel. You know what? Let me go back here. Let's go back a few minutes. Let's go back. Remember how big and nice and wide that was? You could get like 2 Zambonis through that thing, right? You could drive Zambonis side by side. You go through the visitors' tunnel, you can't get 2 offensive linemen going side by side up here. Look at this. That's what the Jets had to come out of last night, on Saturday night. So that's the way they do it. They make it a little more uncomfortable for the visitor. And there you go. So there's another view from the end zone. I like the shot with the goalpost, the 2 American flags. Just a close-up there of the field, goalpost. And this is the suite that we were in earlier where the 2 lights are. So those photos that you saw me take earlier from up above in the corner, that's where this was. And I think I might have one more shot after this, but I think this might be this was a little bit more up. This was on the top of the first concourse. So you get the whole goalpost, you get the Lambeau Field sign, you get the scoreboard, you get an American flag. That gold trim just looks really good, doesn't it? There you go. All right, so there you go. Now, a few things I'm going to say about this game. I hope everybody enjoyed that little section. So a couple things that I'm going to say here about this game. So I liked watching Justin Fields play on that first drive, and I've said it before. I'm going to say it again. I expect Justin Fields to be a very inconsistent quarterback. I expect drives when he looks amazing. I expect drives when he looks like the second coming of Zach Wilson. You just have to expect that. But I'll tell you one thing that I liked. If you go back and watch the touchdown run, that touchdown scamper he had, when the pressure was coming in, he didn't shift to the side. He didn't move to the right. He didn't move to the left. He stepped up in that pocket. And I'll tell you why I like that. One, it gives you like an extra yard or two, but you still have the whole field to work with. Like if I'm a quarterback and I'm running to my right, okay, I can't really see what's all the way down here on the left side of the field. I'm basically closing off half the field. And guess what? The defense knows that you're only looking at half the field. It makes it easier for them to play defense. But Fields stepped up in the pocket, found room, and scored a touchdown. So good decision-making by Fields. But again, it's going to be inconsistent. This is a 4 running back team, guys. 4. We got the 4 horsemen of running backs. Brees, Braylon, Isaiah, and Donovan. Donovan Edwards had a 90.6 Pro Football Focus grade. Now remember, he did finish his 4-year career at Michigan, over 2,200 yards, 19 touchdowns, 86 catches. You can catch out of the backfield for 800 yards and 4 receiving touchdowns. Here's the thing, though. If you're keeping a 4th running back, one of those running backs better be able to play special teams. Because what is the purpose of bringing that player on if you're just going to deactivate him every week or give him maybe 2-3 snaps a game at the most? It just doesn't make sense. But I'll tell you this, if the team struggles early, I definitely believe Breece Hall is fair game to be traded. I don't want to trade him now, okay? Not at this point. I'm only trading him as we get closer to the deadline if we know the Jets are out of it. And I would take a 4th-round pick for him. Running back on an expiring contract, I would take that draft asset. And I think the Jets would have 3 more than capable running backs who can power this offense. And Andrew Beck, wow. How good did he look? And it's pretty amazing just to see what he's done. I mean, he traditionally, like with Cincinnati, he didn't have a very good run blocking grade, but he showed that he can be really good. And now it's gotten to the point where he's pretty much people think he's a cinch to make this team, an absolute cinch. And Jeremy Ruckert, oh my God. You know what? I was willing to give Ruckert half another chance. His boys are with him now. Fields, Myers, still has Wilson. Maybe the Ohio State connection can help a little bit. It did nothing. Ruckert in this game had 22 offensive snaps. He did not have 1 pass target. He didn't block well. He had a 45 pass blocking grade and a 52 run blocking grade. Just Ruckert to me was an absolute liability. And I'm glad Mason Taylor's back. I'll tell you how Mason Taylor recovered in a week and a half from a high ankle sprain, I'll never understand. But I'm glad he did because to me, Jeremy Ruckert just has not proven that he has earned playing time. I'm sorry. But you look at this running game, the Jets average 5.8 yards per carry on that touchdown drive. I'm not going to look at the second and third teamers on that, but almost 6 yards per carry. And Green Bay was playing some of their starters. Keep that in mind too. They were playing Rashawn Gary. They were playing Kenny Clark. They were playing Devontae Wyatt. They were playing Lucas Van Ness. They were playing Edgerrin Cooper. They weren't playing guys who are going to be, bagging groceries at Piggly Wiggly next week. But the Jets shoved them down the field all night for 5 minutes and called it a game, and in comes Brady Cook and company. Owusu, Joe Tippmann, Elijah Vera Tucker, and Armand Membu allowed 0 pressures on 28 pass blocking snaps. Armand Membu stayed in for the second drive, played 10 pass blocking snaps. The other 3 starters played 6 each. Now, Josh Myers struggled, all right? Any of this talk about a center competition, can we please 86 that, please? 86, bye, over, done. Josh, we're happy to have you here as a backup. Stop. Can we stop? I respect that he was promised an opportunity to win the job. That opportunity is gone. Joe Tippmann is better. Joe Tippmann is going to be a very good player. Josh Myers had a run blocking grade of 46. 46. Not good. And when John Simpson comes back, look out. This offensive line is going to look even better. Max Mitchell, maybe the biggest liability, had a 14.6 PFF grade. He was terrible. Now, as far as the defense goes, by the way, I see we got some more people hopping into the chat. I love it, guys. Hello. Feel free to put a post down there if you have any comments, you have any questions. Let's interact. Let's talk. Absolutely. I love that we have a nice crowd here today. Fantastic. Jay Tufele, I want to give him some credit. I never saw that coming from him. He was a signing I did not have confidence in, but he really owned the field. He may be our new tribal chief. And move over, Sean and I, if you're a Mets fan. Jay Tufele, we may have to acknowledge him as our tribal chief. Leonard Taylor continues to look good when it's game time. Late in the game, Peyton Page looked pretty solid. Linebacker. When I talked about the players that I was watching, linebacker was a big deal. And I highlighted a couple of linebackers. Zaire Barnes was one of them. He looked good. I like Jamin Davis, had an 83.3 PFF grade. Jamin Davis had the third highest grade of any Jet. That's pretty good. That's pretty good because we've been very worried after Quincy Williams and after Jamian Sherwood. What do the Jets have at linebacker, especially for a defense that doesn't really have that hard-hitting box safety and needs to stop the run? Do they have that third linebacker that they can take care of business with? Davis showed some good signs, and Zaire Barnes, who has barely played a snap of defense since he's been drafted, again, maybe JD knew. And to certain podcasters who record daily and say that Joe Douglas drafted on the level of a John Idzik or a Mike McCagnon when it came to late round draft picks, they continue to look more and more foolish. I'm just saying. But again, Darren Muji, hey, he found Andrew Beck. Darren Muji, I applaud you for that. NCV man, just checking in. Hey, good to see you, my man. There's the V for you. NCV man, very good to have you here tonight. And even though the depth chart had Marcelino McCurry Ball in the third linebacker spot, Davis started, and he had a sack and a run stuff for no gain on the 12 snaps he did play. Zaire Barnes had 3 tackles and no missed tackles on 17 snaps. Now, Kiko Mawioga, the draft choice, he played 32 snaps, made 1 tackle, missed the tackle, and also allowed 17 yards on a reception and coverage. I'm not going to kill him over, his first game. You're still getting a feel for everything. I'm not going to get too hard on a rookie who struggles in his first game. But I thought the tackling showed very encouraging signs. It almost felt like when the Jets were trying to tackle last year, you expected them to miss the first one, right? Last year is like on these running plays, I'd be like, okay, that tackle's not going to happen. Let's hope the linebacker makes the tackle. Oh, no. Let's hope the safety. Oh, no. It really became that way. But I thought the Jets showed much more aggression. They showed determination. Vince Lombardi would be proud of how the Jets played that football game. With the running game and the fierceness on defense, Vince Lombardi would be proud of Aaron Glenn. I think that sums it up pretty well. I'd like to think. Quanto Stickers, another player that we said we need to pay attention to. He was very good. He really struck from the gunner position, taking down our old buddy Mecole Hardman. Yes, the wonderful Mecole Hardman to halt a punt return, and that tackle pinned Green Bay on their own 5-yard line, and that field position led to the Leonard Taylor strip sack and Jay Tufele's recovery in the end zone for the touchdown. So credit to Austin McNamara. That's right. We're going to give some love to Austin McNamara. We're going to give some love to the punter. 3 punts, 4.46 hang time. All 3 punts down inside the 20-yard line. Very good stat line. Harrison Mevis, he made his kicks. Some of them weren't pretty, but they went through. And I'll tell you this. Nick Folk came out to make I think 1 or 2 kicks. Mevis did everything else. Harrison Mevis is great on kickoffs. Great. Kickoff after kickoff was inside the 5 and outside the goal line. I thought he was really, really impressive. And I don't know for sure if Nick Folk, how good his kickoffs are going to be. And I don't really think you can afford to waste a roster spot on a guy who just kicks off. But I'll tell you what, Mevis, those kickoffs, It caught my eye. It caught my eye. Of course, there are issues. 10 penalties for 91 yards. There's no excuse for it. We know it needs to get cleaned up, and I'll tell you what, Aaron Glenn will clean it up. And if the players won't listen to him, then he'll get rid of them, and he'll find somebody who will listen to him and play the game the right way. Yes, Sharon, field position. How long have we been talking about that, right? For so long, it's like, yep, we're starting on our own 20, and the opponent's starting on their own 40. All those things matter with time of possession, all that type of stuff. Unless you're turning the other team over, you can't win that way. And you know what, Harlan? They may always have to work on penalties. If you look at the most penalized teams, sometimes it's Baltimore, Houston. They take a lot of penalties. Here's the thing. I can deal with the penalty, but you have to have the ability to make impact plays to overcome those penalties. Like if you're doing a 3rd and 1 and you take like a 10-yard penalty and now it's 3rd and 11, that can cripple you. Stuff like that. And it's funny because I feel like the penalties that bother me more are 5-yard penalties, like a false start, like an encroachment. Like pass interference doesn't bother me so much because it's subjective. It's up to the official, but it could cost you many, many, many more yards. But it's the penalties that are about a lack of concentration, not having your head in the game. Those are the penalties that need to stop. That's what has to stop. There'll always be some penalties, but you got to be able to overcome them. And if you make impact plays, if you can make big plays on offense, if you can get a big sack or turn the other team over on defense, you'll hardly remember that penalty happened. But watching people like Alan Lazard go, false start. We had delay of game penalties on wide receivers last year, guys. Delay of game on a wide receiver. I don't even know how that's possible still. But that's the stuff that Robert Saleh was never able to correct. And we lost games because of it. One of the biggest reasons we kept losing, because we beat ourselves. It wasn't because of a lack of talent. It's because we played stupid football. And I don't expect it to be completely solved in 1 year, but I expect very notable progress. And that alone will lead to more victories for the New York Jets. All right, so let's talk a little bit about, let's see if I can pull this. Let's see. Here we go. Let's pull this back up. All right, let's talk a little bit about the joint practices with the Giants. They went on Tuesday and Wednesday. The game is Saturday night, 7 p.m. I'm willing to bet it's going to be in MetLife Stadium because where else would it be? So Tuesday, Jets got some good news. Quinnen Williams, John Simpson, Jermaine Johnson, and Mason Taylor all returned, so that's excellent news. Isaiah Davis was held out with the ankle. And really, these joint practices, they can be summed up very easily. Some plays are great, some plays not so great. It's very back and forth, but the defenses for both teams seem to have the overall edge. There have been times when Justin Fields has looked great, times he has just been late and has just not made it work. Wednesday was a little bit different. No Quinnen, no Jermaine. They were resting up, and then no Sauce Gardner. That was the question. It was noticed very early, and about 2 hours later, when Aaron Glenn spoke to the media, he said calf soreness. He'll have tests on it. All right, Sauce. I'm gonna take that out. I just want Sauce. I know you like to be on the internet a lot, so I just have something to say. Okay, stretch your damn calf. I know you're in your mid-20s. I know you're young, and you're one of the greatest athletes maybe in the NFL. But a calf will mess you up. All right? I'm in a running program right now. I'm in a 12-week running program. I got a 10-mile race that I'm going to be trying to run in 2.5 weeks. I may be a little bit older than you, but I've been stretching my body out. And I'm spending a good minute on each calf. Because if your calf goes, watch out. So, Sauce, do a little stretching. That's all I'm asking. And you won't deal with calf issues. My gosh. Arian Smith. That was some good news. Arian Smith looking very good. He mossed one of the Giants' defensive backs, just went up to get a pass. It is amazing. Arian Smith, who is everybody was like dead and burying about 4 months ago, is making plays as consistently as any wide receiver, not named Garrett Wilson. It's pretty exciting, but it's pretty crazy at the same time. He may get more playing time than we figured. So that is something to be pretty excited about. Maybe the Jets did know better. And you got to respect the kid's work ethic. Every day after practice, he is there at the jugs machine. He is there. He knows what he needs to work on. He is willing to work on it too. Both. He's got the knowledge and he's got the work ethic. That is a very good sign of things to come from Arian Smith. Now, the offensive line, not that great today. Josh Myers, Olu Fashanu, they did struggle. Olu's going to have to learn from this. He won very good against Brian Burns and Abdul Carter. I'm still good with Olu. We know the Giants have an amazing defensive front, but this is going to give Olu something to look at, something to work on. So let's keep that in mind. Scott Foster, Adam, tell me about the shirt that you have on. Okay, so this is a Willow Creek 5K shirt. So Willow Creek was a church I used to go to a long time ago in Chicago. At the time, it was one of the 3 largest churches actually in all of the United States. So we did a thing called Celebration of Hope. This shirt is actually from, if you can see that, there it is, 2014. So 11 years later, I can still wear the shirt. So this is so I'm good with that. So they did something called Celebration of Hope, just ways to help people in need. So we packed vegetable seeds for people in other countries who didn't have a food source. So that way they have a renewable food source. We did sort of like lunch packs and things like that for people who were in prison. But another thing we did was a 5K. And this was the first 5K. I think it was the first 5K I've ever ran. Either my first or my second, one of the two. And we just ran it in the parking lot, in the church parking lot. That's how big the campus was at the time. And the money went to buy shoes for kids in Africa, and this was the shirt that I got. So it's basically black with a gray cutout, and still fits good, still looks pretty good. It's not weathered or anything like that. So that's where the shirt comes from. So thanks. Most of the time, it's like I'm either wearing a jersey or I'm wearing a race shirt. Oh, you're wearing it was Willow Creek, California. No, it was Willow Creek Church in South Barrington, Illinois. No, so it is a 5K shirt at the church I used to go to. So yeah, that's what that is. Okay, let's get this back. Let's get that back up. There we go. All right, let's talk a little bit what's going on in the AFC East. Chop Robinson of the Miami Dolphins, their young stud defensive pass rusher. This is pretty big news. Was carted off today in a joint practice with Detroit. Apparently, there was a scramble for the football, and he had to be carted out. Now, he's hinting that he avoided injury. We don't really know exactly what the nature is, but he's saying it's not serious, but we're going to have to wait and find out exactly how that's going to go down. But he says nothing serious. So we'll see. But we have seen a lot of season-ending injuries for the outside linebackers in Miami. Bradley Chubb, Jalen Phillips both suffered season-ending injuries in 2023. Jalen Phillips came back in 2024. He tore his ACL again. So this has just been a huge, huge issue down in South Beach. Not that we shed a whole lot of tears for any misfortune they have. But again, not wishing injury on anybody. Except for Tom Brady. Anyway, and that's over. All right, so then we go to James Cook, who signed a 4-year contract today with the Buffalo Bills. 4 years, $48 million. $30 million of that was guaranteed. That was the part that I couldn't believe. Now, just to put that in perspective, only 5 running backs make more per year. All right, Cook makes $12 million. There are 5 who make more, but only Saquon Barkley has more guaranteed money. Barkley has $36 million guaranteed on his contract. So Cook gets the second highest guarantee of any running back in the NFL. That's a very high guarantee. Now, I look at that and it makes me think. I'm gonna bring that down a little bit. What does that mean for Breece Hall's contract? We know this is a contract year for him. We know he's got something to prove. Is he going to look at James Cook and say, that's the template? Because I don't mind paying a running back $12 million a year. But to guarantee, 2/3 of that contract? About 2/3? Just under 2/3. I don't know if I could do that. I really don't know. With the other players the Jets may have to sign in the future, AVT, Jermaine Johnson, Will McDonald, Quincy Williams, his contract's up. Am I using that money on a running back? I know running backs don't cost as much as these other positions do, but we know how deep that running back room is for the Jets. And Breece has a lot to prove this year, and he's going to know it. He knows it. All right, so a couple other things to talk about here. As far as injuries go, actually got the news about Jermaine Johnson sitting out of Portillo's in Niles, Illinois on Sunday. I was hanging with a couple of friends, both Bears fans, and I get the note that actually my friend Joe texted me that Jermaine Johnson had been cleared, and I started doing a little like that right in my seat in the restaurant. I was so happy to get that news, and we knew it was coming anyway. But we know how important Jermaine Johnson is to this defense. Missing him, people talk about the John Franklin Myers trade, and understandably so, but so few people were talking about JJ being out. If JJ was there, believe me, we would not have felt the sting the way that we did. So I'm thrilled to get him back. Tyrod Taylor, arthroscopic knee surgery, out for the preseason. The hope is he's ready to go for week 1. That's the risk of Tyrod Taylor. He constantly gets hurt. And does that leave a spot open at least for a week for a Brady Cook or for an Adrian Martinez? I still expect two quarterbacks on this roster, but more on that later. Alan Lazard is out 2 weeks with a shoulder injury. He had his arm in a sling after the Green Bay game. I didn't show you this picture because it was a little bit too blurry, but there was one point before the game in Green Bay. There were about 11, 12 Packers in the end zone they were warming up in, and in there you see one white jersey, and it's Alan Lazard. And the whole time I'm yelling, "Take him back!" It has not happened yet, but I was saying, please take him back. We don't want him anymore. I really did that out loudly. But yeah, so none of these injuries is particularly devastating. You just pay attention to Sauce, make sure he's good, make sure he's loose. Do what you have to do. But again, nothing happens for another 3+ weeks anyway. So are we really worried about it? I'm not worried about it 3.5 weeks out from the start. Yeah, 3 weeks, right? Yeah, 3 weeks. Okay, guys, so let's go ahead and blow this up a little bit. Hey, Yeti, how you doing, man? Hope you're having a great week. Happy Wednesday to you. Happy hump day. All right, so now we're going to get into my updated 53-man New York Jets roster prediction. And that's right. We're going inside the locker room right there. Oh, yeah, a very strategically placed title with that big, beautiful Jets logo right there on the ceiling. Yeah, we may have MetLife Stadium, but at least we got a nice locker room now. So that's in Florham Park, so it's a start. All right, so let's talk about positions. I'm going to talk. We did this a couple of weeks ago, and I'm going to mention what I've changed and kind of what stayed the same. So here's what my roster looks like. So this is roster 2.0. See what you think. See if you agree. If you disagree, great. Let me know about it. So we start with the quarterbacks, and again, I'm only going with 2 with Justin Fields. And I'm going to blow that up a little bit. Yeah, I'll cover the Jets logo, but it looks better this way. Justin Fields and Tyrod Taylor. I'm going to assume Taylor is on the roster until he isn't. Swig of water for the working man and woman. I think Brady Cook and Adrian Martinez are just competing to get a practice squad spot at this point. I just don't see a scenario where they're there, and they'll be able to get one of them back. I mean, to me, either way, whoever they get, great. But they're just filling up a roster spot. So I got 2 quarterbacks. I am bringing on 4 running backs: Breece Hall, Braylon Allen. Sorry about that. Isaiah Davis and Donovan Edwards. I really liked what I saw from DE. I love that speed on that breakaway touchdown, which was called back for a holding penalty. I just think for a team that is going to be completely focused on running the football, you are going to want that extra running back, and also gives you a little extra insurance for injury and for trade. And Braylon Allen, oh my God, 6'1", 240 pounds. He moves like a cat. Watching him run is pure pleasure. I love a good power running back, and it's something I feel like the Jets haven't really had that kind of a running back since maybe Chris Ivory. I know, Harlan. I know. I apologize. I know. Yeah, Hall is his middle name. Yeah, just go with it. Braylon Hall Allen. Hey, you have to be able to laugh at that stuff, right? All right, now Isaiah Davis, hopefully he'll be back soon. And yeah, they definitely highlighted on the Justin Fields run when he was running into the end zone. He had his hands out, selling like it was going to be a pass. That's a football player. That's instincts. I want players like that on my team. I've got 6 wide receivers. Now, I have changed this up quite a bit. Okay, I have Garrett Wilson, Arian Smith, Josh Reynolds. To me, those are the three locks. Tyler Johnson, I strongly feel, will be on this team as well. I like his speed. I like his hands. He can be a capable playmaker. Are you having electric storms over there? We've had horrible weather for 4 days, but now the weather is finally nice. Just mid-afternoon, it finally got good. I'm going to keep Alan Lazard on the roster for now, but I moved it from a lock to a possible. And if he's still hurt, you could see him starting on the injured reserve very easily. But I have removed both Malachi Corley and Xavier Gibson from the roster, and I've added Jamal Pritchett. I like what I saw from him. One is a punt returner, but I like the routes that he's run. He just gets attention every practice, every single time. He runs very precise routes. He's got good speed. He was incredibly productive at South Alabama. That was another player that we said to watch during the game. And even though I'm not ready to say he'd be a starter, I think he can carve out a role, sort of like a niche on this team as a receiver and as a punt returner. Again, I don't have a need for Xavier Gibson to be on this team ever again. With all due respect to him, I know he had a touchdown today. Great. But how much more can I expect him to grow? I really can't. And Malachi Corley, I was a huge Corley guy coming out of the draft. I was very happy when the Jets drafted him. It has simply not worked out. And that happens sometimes. He is not making the impact he needs to make. How much more can you really do? And I did lift Quentin Skinner up from the unlikelies to the possibles. He sort of has that Alan Lazard body type. I could see a situation where if Lazard goes on IR, they could give that roster spot to Quentin Skinner. But to me, you still have a lot of wide receivers who are showing some capability, but they're all on that possible level where they could make it, but nobody is basically saying to Aaron Glenn and company, I will not let you cut me. I don't think we're quite there yet. Maybe this Saturday that will happen. Tom Cahill is here, and he's a Brandon Smith guy. Brandon Smith, until proven otherwise, is a fantastic preseason player. Right now, he's David Clowney. Could he be more? Yes, he could be more. But right now, the way that Skinner and Pritchett are being talked up, right now, I think that gives them the edge over Brandon Smith. Yep. Skinner looked pretty good against Green Bay, too. It's a little bit hard when you're in the corner. You can't see everything that you can on TV. But, yeah, I thought Pritchett, Skinner, I thought they stood out. Unfortunately, Corley, not so much. It's not like he did anything wrong, but he just didn't do anything that got you excited. And I find that disappointing. So, tight ends. All right, I've got 4 on here. I have converted Andrew Beck from the running back list to the tight end list because I expect him to be used in that kind of a role. Mason Taylor, Jeremy Ruckert, even though it makes me want to throw up in my mouth a little bit, Andrew Beck, and I'm adding Stone Smart as sort of like a little bit of a wild card as another receiving threat. Because I think Jeremy Ruckert is just – we've been reading about drop issues, block issues, and I think he's going to make the team, but I think this is about the end of the line for him. I think he's there because he's friends with some of the other players on the offense, and I think that's really the main reason why. And there's just not much experience. That's the other reason. I don't think they want to put too much of a load on Mason Taylor right away. That's why they're going to keep Ruckert around. But if Ruckert is a Jet in 6 months, I will be shocked. I'll be so shocked I might eat this microphone right here. Stone Smart had a receiving touchdown. Looked very, very good. I love me some Zach Kuntz. We got that ODU connection. Hey, I may have to switch my ODU alliance from Kuntz to Smart. Neil Johnson, thanks for coming. But, yeah, Zach did make a catch, and, of course, I was going, Kuntz! Yeah, that's Kuntz. And people had asked me who Zach Kuntz was. Even the Green Bay. Oh, my God. I found this out later. So on the Green Bay broadcast, I think it was Kevin Harlan and whoever the other guy was. Because Kevin Harlan's father, Bob Harlan, has been the president of the Packers since 1989, which I didn't know until this week. Kuntz makes a catch, Harlan announces, and the analyst goes, who? He hooed Zach Kuntz. You don't disrespect my man, Kuntz. You understand that, Packer announcer? Don't disrespect the Kuntz. You respect the Kuntz. Harlan's right. Yeah, referring to Stone Smart. Yeah, he is not known as a blocker, and that could harm him. And I think that's just another reason why Andrew Beck has to be on this team. We need blocking. We want to impose our will and knock somebody's ass off the ball when we need to do it. All right, let's go to the offensive line. I really haven't changed anything here. 4 tackles, Fashanu, that's how you pronounce it, Fashanu, Armand Membu, obvious, Chukwuma Okorafor, even though he was terrible in Green Bay, the lowest graded Jet on offense, even lower than Jeremy Ruckert. They'll still keep him, I think, as a swing tackle, and I think they'll keep Carter Warren. Max Mitchell and Okorafor, they are battling for least likely to succeed is what they're doing. Okay, they are just not good. They are not good. Fashanu and Membu have got to stay healthy. If one of them gets hurt, it's not going to be good. At that point, I'm putting my hope in Carter Warren because it sure is not going to be in Chukwuma. Interior offensive line, I've got 5 players. So sometimes people go 10. I'm going 9. Of course, you have your starters in John Simpson, Joe Tippmann, and Elijah Vera-Tucker. Josh Myers, of course, brought in as the all-around backup. Knock on wood. And Xavier Newman. I just think Newman is I think Newman might be better at his job than Myers is. I really do. I like Newman a lot. I'm not saying he's going to be a starter one day. I'm not saying he takes over for John Simpson next year if Simpson leaves in free agency. But I'm not ruling the idea out either. And if you can develop a player like this, organically over time, as we've seen, with over the last few years and into this year, and you can plug him in to be a starter, well, hey, that's one less free agent you got to sign. That's another draft pick you can use on another position of need. Pretty interesting. So I think these are your 5 offensive linemen, and I just don't see anybody else who penetrates that line. Leander Wiegand, Cole Laval, Sam Jackson, Liam Fornadell, Marquise Hayes. The only one I really noticed in the game was Marquise Hayes, and I didn't really like what I saw all that much. The other guys, I got to be honest, I barely even noticed that they were on the field, if they were. Newman is a great backup. I agree. Harlan, next draft, the Jets should draft an offensive tackle in round 4. Harlan's got the round picked out already. Okay. Well, I mean, he's going to be coming to be a backup. I don't know. I might sign a veteran, like a 1-year veteran, like another Okorafor, but hopefully better. Something like that. But yeah, I don't know. Because here's the thing. If one of them goes down, you need somebody you can plug in right away. So we would need instant stability is what we would need. So, I'm always fine. You can't have enough offensive linemen. That is true. 4th round, maybe. But again, I would want somebody who could plug in and at least be competent. I'm not looking to draft like a future starter yet. All right, edge rushers, I've got 5. So I've got Will McDonald and Jermaine Johnson, and those are my only locks. I can't lock in anybody else right now. But I've got a lot of possibles. Michael Clemens, when he's not starting fights, made a play or two. And again, I know none of us really want to see him on the team anymore, but I think he's going to stick around for the season. Tyler Barron didn't do a whole lot in this game. I didn't really notice him all that much, but again, a draft pick, he'll stay around. And I'm keeping Rashad Weaver as the 5th defensive end. There's several other players you can make an argument for Jamarcus Weston because he plays well on special teams. But to me, edge rusher is not a position where you keep another player on because he's a good special teams player. You bring him on because he can get to the quarterback and knock his ass to the ground. And to me, Rashad Weaver has shown some signs in practice that he can do that. Now, he was a free agent signing. Not a big deal if they let him go. But Eric Watts, he had a terrible penalty. Braden McGregor, didn't really notice him all that much. So these 2 undrafted free agents, I'm hoping one of them is going to work out. But as of right now, I'm not exactly sold on it. I could see another year on the practice squad for Watts and McGregor. Sounds like a detective show. Watts and McGregor roaming the mean streets of Florham Park, New Jersey. And then Michael Fletcher and Kingsley Jonathan. Yes, not Jonathan Kingsley. It's actually Kingsley Jonathan. That makes up for my Braylon Hall error earlier that I actually got Kingsley Jonathan's name in the right order. So we're even now, all right? Okay, so now let's go on to the linebackers. Defensive tackle, excuse me. Quinn Williams, Byron Cowart are my locks. I think once Cowart comes back, he will get a lot of playing time. Leonard Taylor, to me, will be on this team. Jay Tafele, I had him as an unlikely. I moved him up to a possible, but I've got him making the team. Derek Nottie, same thing as well. Didn't really notice Derek Nottie, so I'm putting him on the roster for now, but I can't say I'm 100% sold he's going to make it. Peyton Page, he's shown a few glimpses, but nothing too consistent. Federian Mathis, Fatorma Mulba, haven't really seen them get talked about either. So to me right now, it could be Williams, Tefele, Taylor, and Coward could be your 4 primary defensive tackles. I could see a situation where Noddy is on the outside looking in. But for right now, put it this way. We've got 5 edge rushers and we've got 5 defensive tackles. We have 10 defensive linemen. I would probably be willing to let Noddy go and keep on one of the younger edge rushers. Either whether it's Weston, whether it's Watts, whether it's McGregor. But they've got to earn that. They've got to earn that spot. Maybe Noddy is there is there for that sort of mentoring role, like a JD Martinez was for the Mets last year, because the Jets have some young players on that defensive line. Fele, Taylor, Page. Maybe that's the way it goes. So there really are some questions here on the defensive line with who they're going to keep. Like, I've only got 4 locks right now. And Tefele's working his way to the lock line very quickly. So definitely some questions with that defensive line. Now, linebackers, I've got 5. This one's very subject to change. Quincy, Jamian, and Kiko, I think, are locks. I don't think they're letting Kiko go as just yet after drafting him. We know what Quincy is. We know what Jamian is. Jamin Davis, I think, is working his way up. I've got him. I don't have him securing a spot yet, but I've got him making the team for sure. Marcelino, McCurry, Ball, Zaire Barnes. You can go either way with this. I know Ball had a dumb penalty and Barnes played well, but again, Ball gives you that special teams ability, and that's a position where you could use guys who play special teams, especially if you're keeping a 5th linebacker. So that's where I'm going for right now. And I would expect, just because they're locks, that doesn't mean I think Maui Yoga is going to start. Maui Yoga is more of the backup to Jamian Sherwood. I would expect Jamin Davis to be the primary starter early on, and let's see how it goes. Scott Foster is a Jackson Sermon guy. We'll preach on it, Scott. And Boog Smith as well. If I ever have a son, I might name him Boog. Maybe we'll do that. Boog 2K99. Maybe we'll just do that. So 5 linebackers. Let's go to corner. All right. So I've got 5: Sauce Gardner, Brandon Stevens, A.Z. Thomas, Michael Carter II. I'm adding Quantez Stiggers, who I think has been really, really good. I think he is absolutely primed to take over the Brandon Eccles role as a 3rd or 4th outside corner. And as we now know, he can contribute on special teams as a possible gunner. And he got into a little bit of a skirmish today with some of the Giants players, linemen. And he wasn't backing down. Stiggers has attitude. Stiggers has toughness. Stiggers has a burning desire to succeed. And I believe Stiggers will make the team. And I believe he will have a season that, maybe not to be remembered, but a season where you realize, okay, this was a good draft pick. That's all I'm really looking for. At the end of the year, be like, okay, Quantez Stiggers, good draft pick. And it'll make us look like we know what we talked about when we talked about Quantez Stiggers well before that draft ever happened in 2024. Boog Powell was a very good first baseman, yes, for the Baltimore Orioles. And if you go to Camden Yards, you can still get a Boog's barbecue sandwich, beef, pork, turkey. He usually serves them himself. Yeah, my dad even gave me an autographed baseball from Boog Powell. So, yeah, he's just that kind of guy that you got to love. Boog's like a lovable player. Tom Cahill, I had a Boog Powell signed bat. It was huge. Nice. I'm not the biggest memorabilia guy. I prefer pictures over autographs myself, but I do have a few things here and there. Nice. So, so I've got just 5 cornerbacks. Jarek Bernard Converse, he'd be one of my last cuts. I'm just not sure that he's going to make the team. I just am not sold on him making the team. Safeties, I've got my 4: Andre Sisco, Tony Adams, Malachi Moore, and Isaiah Oliver. And, of course, Oliver can play anywhere in the secondary you need him to. He is your Swiss Army knife. I love it. Wow, Stigger's mom was in the danger zone Friday night? Was on with Dane? That's great. That's super cool. That is very cool. I like that. Good for Mama Quantez. There we go. Mama Stiggers. Yeah, Jarius Monroe, I'll give him a possible shot, but I don't see it being very likely. I don't see the Jets carrying a fifth safety. Dean Clark, thanks for coming. Kickers, Nick Folk is my lock. I don't expect Harrison Mevis to make the team. As good as he was on kickoffs, I think there's room for only one kicker on this team. Punters, it's Austin McNamara. He looks great. I don't see any reason to change anything. Now, if we do the math, that is 51 players. We still got 2 more players to add to our roster. And by the way, I'm not doing practice squad here because let's be honest, when it comes to practice squad, half the guys on the squad were on different teams anyway. So maybe half the guys will stay, but when the Jets announce their practice squad, I promise you half of them will be from other teams. There'll be guys that we're not even talking about today. So my last 2 spots, well, of course you need a long snapper. You need Thomas Hennessy, the GOAT, future Jets Hall of Famer, future Ring of Honor member, Thomas Hennessy. That's what I say. Maybe we'll get Thomas Hennessy's mom on the show one day. I don't know. But then there's a couple of other players. Irv Charles still coming back from a torn ACL. I don't expect him to be around. Chris Boyd was carted off a couple of weeks ago. Don't know if he's going to be around. He might be on IR. I am keeping, and I'm going to keep doing it, I'm keeping Kene Nwangwu as my kick returner. I want Kene Nwangwu on this team. I think he's far and away the most dangerous kick returner they have. And for a team that may struggle to move the ball on offense at times, you need special teams to make up some field position for you. And with the NFL basically bringing it back, bringing the return back, it's much more of a priority than it used to be. The kick returner matters again. Make kick returners matter again. That's what I say. And I think Kene Nwangwu is the man to do it. All due respect to Isaiah Davis. Some due respect to Xavier Gibson. Give me Kene as my kick returner. I may have to get the Kene jersey one day. I don't know, but I'm considering the options. Truthfully, if I'm getting a jersey, I'd probably be Braylon Allen. I think that guy's great. But I've learned it takes a lot for me to get a current player's jersey. I don't know if and when I will ever do it again. I've been burned so many times. Matt Harvey, Noah Syndergaard, Jamal Adams, Aaron Rodgers. I can't take it anymore. Just can't. Sharon's a Mets fan since 1967. Good time to become a Mets fan, but love Boog Powell. Nice. I like that. Oh, I needed that. Feel good. Just feel good tonight. This is a good night. Yeah, mid-August, had the 2 preseason practices, no real serious injuries. Teams coming together, teams figuring it out. August is usually a good month to be a Jets fan, usually. So that's my 53-man roster. So it seems like for the most part, I don't see too many disagreements. Some people ready to cut Lazard right now, and I understand that. But I think if anything, IR. They're not going to cut. Here's the thing. Don't be cutting Lazard. I don't want any chance of him getting to Pittsburgh until after week 1. You want to cut him after week 1? If it works out that way, that's fine. But keep him in the building until after opening week. Am I saying I'm bad luck? The cooler, maybe? Could be. ESPN did this sports team misery index where you type in your favorite teams and it tells you how miserable you are on a scale of 1 to 100, 100 being the most miserable. So you got MLB, NBA, NHL, NFL, and don't laugh, but WNBA and NWSL. If you're getting miserable over the WNBA and the NWSL, it's time to get some help. Okay, just a public service announcement. God bless. They didn't have college teams. I plugged in my 4 teams. And by the way, on the misery index, I scored an 85. So I'm in the lower fifth. They divide them into 5 different groups. And I'm in the woe is me category because I'm in an 85 out of 100, miserable. And it had, as the Jets were tied for the most miserable NFL franchise along with Jacksonville. Yep. Our kick returner is listed as a running back, thus crowding the room. Yeah, but I think Nwangwu is going to be used pretty much exclusively as a returner. Maybe use him for a gadget play now and then, but to me, it's more of a special teams thing. It's almost like Andrew Beck. Do you list him as a fullback? Do you list him as a running back? Do you list him as a tight end? But we all know what's up. And besides, doing it this way, it allowed me to create a little more suspense. So that's how I chose to do it. Please, Scott Foster, Adam, please buy a Rucker jersey. Buy a Rucker Park jersey. Rucker, but that's as close as I will ever come to that. Jeremy Rucker. He's getting right up there with Kyle Wilson for me. in terms of my being annoyed by him. By the way, why was Kyle Wilson invited to practice last week? What is there for Kyle Wilson to teach anybody on this team how to play football? If he's there in the corner, eating sunflower seeds, just watching, talking with his old friends, okay. But if he had one word of advice to get to any one of these players, I'd trade them now. If he's talking to, if Kyle Wilson had a minute to talk to Sauce Gardner, if that happened, I'd take back the contract extension. I'd have it annulled. Goodbye. No. Free agent after this year. You have been Kyle Wilson. You've been contaminated, sir. Kyle Wilson. Oh. As Joe Beningo said, he made Johnny Lamb Jones look like a Pro Bowler. Jets should not have someone just for special teams. Some teams do. Some teams do. They'll take the best 53 they can. If you like to have the extra edge rusher and an extra wide receiver, okay, that's great. But I'm looking for impact players. And to me, guys like Beck, they can make an impact. Nwangwu, he's had multiple return touchdowns in his career. I think he can make an impact. If they let him go, I think he's going to get taken. So, what's the likelihood of Green Adult Boys on the field next week? You know what? If the flight crew is still around, I'd say the odds are pretty high. I can hear Sharon. I apologize to any females who are just watching that. Anyone know how Sauce injuries is? No, they're just going to take a look at it. But again, calf soreness, I don't expect this to be much. I certainly wouldn't expect to see him on Saturday, nor should he play. But no, you just rest him. And, I really don't. Right now, I don't have any concerns about it. It's not like anybody really noticed anything, like he went down or he limped. Nobody said anything until 10 o'clock this morning when all of a sudden they realized Sauce wasn't on the field. But I got to give the beat writers and whatnot credit because they're noticing who's there and who's not there. When you have 90 players, that's not easy to do. So I do give him some credit. So, but am I worried at this point? No. I think they might sit him a week, maybe, just to be safe. But again, I'm not ready to panic about this yet, guys. All right, let's see. There we go. Okay. Again, please hit that thumbs up if you haven't already. We get to 15 likes. We will spin the wheel. Right now, we are just a couple of likes short. So if you haven't hit that thumbs up and you want to spin that crazy Jets wheel, go ahead and do that. Please do it. It is very much appreciated. As I also said, I did post a video earlier of my friend Tommy and I going through the little going from the concourse to the view of Lambeau Field, and you get our initial reactions. And I think it's a pretty fun video. So it got a lot of views very quickly. So check that out if you haven't already. All right, that's enough plug-in stuff. Okay, guys, I think it is just about that time. Yeah, I think it is that time of the week that I know we all look forward to because you know what I do every week. I head into the labyrinth of Jets knowledge. And sometimes I even find a labyrinth of Jets knowledge in Illinois or in Wisconsin. You never know where you're going to find some Jets info, some crazy trivia. But I bust open the books. I dust off the Encyclopedia Britannica. I pull up the websites, including the ones from the dark Jets web. And I challenge you, the most loyal fans of the most loyal fan base in all of the NFL. Just how much do you know about your New York Jets? So if you are ready, you better be ready. It is time to play Jets trivia. So let's do our question tonight. And it's going to go a little something like this. And remember, I put 5 minutes on the clock. And I will be watching. You all put your answers down there in the chat. And I will let you know if you are correct. So Jets are facing the Giants this week. So we're going to take advantage of the chance to do a little Jets-Giants trivia. Your question tonight. In 2019, the Jets beat the Giants 34-27. Name the 3 Jets who had at least one full sack in that game. Who took Daniel Jones down to the turf and made him realize, this New York thing may not work for me? So 3 players. One play is very, very famous. At least it was at the time. It was just one of those, stick your dick out moments is what it was. It was so good. Really needed the water today. All right. So the three Jets, there were a couple of Jets who had a half sack. So I'm just looking for at least one full sack in that game. Who is it? Yeah, chat, throw in your answers. Okay. Looks like I create kind of a challenging question here. So okay. Nobody yet. So yep, just 6 years. Yeah, just 5 years ago. Oh, Sharon. Yeah, I wish I could have been around then with you too. 1969 spoiled you. Jets, Mets, Knicks won. If you were in hockey, Rangers were good. Didn't quite get all the way, but they got close. I can't even imagine what that would have been like. January 1969, October 1969, May 1970. 18 months. Right? But yeah. The Knicks won in 70 and 73. Right. Because the Celtics won in 69. Right. Knicks won in 69, 70, but was still the beginning of an amazing year. And since then, you look at those teams, and it's two championships. Only two. Knicks in 73, Mets in 86. Those trophies are all turning green, my friend. They're turning green. All right, guys. Time's about halfway down. I haven't seen a correct answer yet, so go on and take a shot. Three Jets who had at least one full sack of Daniel Jones in that game. What have you got? Scott Foster says Adams, referring to Jamal Adams. Is that correct? It sure is. You remember the play when Jamal Adams got to Daniel Jones, ripped the ball and his soul right out of his hands and took it to the end zone? That counted as a sack. So Jamal Adams is correct. We've got two more. Okay. All right, two more players. Jamal Adams was one. Who else had a sack in that game? A full sack in that game for the Jets. We're down to 1 minute and 30 seconds, guys. Time's ticking away. As Chris Berman would say, tick, 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 tick. And it looks like the Mets are in a weather delay. Cincinnati up on the Phillies 1-0. All right. Oh, the Yankees game is in a delay. The Orioles game is in a delay. I guess the Northeast is just getting it right now. All right. That blows. Scott Foster goes with Leonard Williams. How about Leonard Williams? No, Leonard Williams did not have a full sack in that game. The then Jet and future Giant did not make his presence felt in that way. 45 seconds, guys. Got any answers? I don't know. Let me see. Defensive tackle, outside linebacker. How about that? Defensive tackle and an outside linebacker. Dang, I may have made one that was a little bit too hard. Scott Foster says Quinnen Williams. How about Quinnen Williams? No. I think Quinnen was drafted. Yeah, had just been drafted. Yeah, Quinnen did not get a sack in that game. All right, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And the time has elapsed. All right. So here are the correct answers. Jamal Adams was correct. The other answers were Jordan Jenkins and Nathan Shepard. So those were the three Jets to get at least one sack. And that was, the Jets have won 3 straight against the Giants, but 2 of those games were in overtime. This is the only regulation win they've had against them in a long, long time. Was that 34-27 victory. So that is the trivia for tonight. Thanks everybody for playing. And at this point, I think it's time to go make a little din-din. for myself. I think I'm doing pretty well with water, but all right. So I think what it would just to give you a little preview. The plan is I'm going to join Nick on the Nick Shine show on Saturday for part of his show. He's going to do a watch along for the Jets Giants game, and right now my plan is to join him for hopefully a good chunk of that show. Definitely looking forward to coming on with my buddy Nick. You never know what goes on that show, so I guess he's bringing me there to bring the stability to it. I don't know, but depending on how the game goes, you never know what I'm going to bring. All right, everybody, I want to thank you all very much for hanging out with me tonight. Every week it matters. Again, share the channel with a friend, anybody who might dig it. Have them join us on Wednesday, more the merrier. So again, I thank everybody for hanging with me tonight. Have a fantastic rest of your week, and I will see you all right back here next week with more content from you all know where. The Wicker Chair. Good night, everybody.